What is the meaning of life? This question has intrigued philosophers, scientists, religious leaders, and ordinary people for centuries. For many, the search for this answer is the essence of existence itself. But where do we begin this journey? Perhaps the best way is to look back to the beginning of everything. Imagine yourself thousands of years ago in the earliest human civilizations. Men and women looked up at the starry sky and wondered about their place in the cosmos. The ancient Egyptians believed that life was a preparation for eternity. Their grand monuments and elaborate rituals reflected this belief. Every action had a divine purpose. Every life was a piece of the vast puzzle of the universe. On the other hand, in ancient Greece, philosophy began to take shape. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle sought to understand the nature of life and happiness. Socrates, with his famous maxim, "Know thyself," suggested that the meaning of life was in understanding one's own soul. Plato saw existence as a journey back to the world of ideas, a perfect and eternal place. Aristotle, with his more practical view, believed that happiness, or eudaimonia, was the ultimate goal, achieved through virtue and living well. This diversity of perspectives shows us that, from the beginning, humanity has sought a greater purpose, something that transcends mere survival. But what can we learn from these ancient wisdoms? How do they shape our modern understanding of the meaning of life? Now let us turn our attention to the contemporary era. We live in a world of incredible scientific and technological advances. We have discovered the laws that govern the universe, unraveled the genetic code, and explored the edges of the solar system. And yet, the question persists: what is the meaning of life? Some find answers in religion, others in philosophy, and there are those who seek it in science. But regardless of the approach, all share the same relentless quest for meaning. It is this search that unites us, that makes us human. In every religious tradition, we find a rich and complex narrative that attempts to give meaning to human existence. Let's start with Hinduism, one of the oldest religions in the world. For Hindus, life is an endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, known as samsara. The ultimate goal is to achieve moksha, liberation from this cycle. Moksha is attained through the realization of our true nature and union with the divine. The Bhagavad Gita, a sacred text, teaches us that each individual has a dharma or duty that must be fulfilled. This duty is unique to each person, and performing one's dharma with dedication is essential to achieving moksha. In Buddhism, we find a slightly different perspective. Upon reaching enlightenment, the Buddha understood that suffering is an inherent part of life. The cause of suffering is desire, and the solution is detachment. Thus, the goal of life is to achieve nirvana, a state of peace and liberation from the cycle of samsara. The practice of meditation, morality, and wisdom are the paths to attain this state. Therefore, for Buddhists, the meaning of life lies in overcoming suffering and gaining a profound understanding of the true nature of existence. Judaism, on the other hand, views life as an opportunity to fulfill God's will through just and ethical actions. The Torah, Judaism's sacred text, offers a guide to life filled with laws and teachings. Life is a divine gift and must be lived according to God's commandments. The pursuit of justice, love for others, and communal responsibility are central to Jewish life. The meaning of life is in following these principles and contributing to the creation of a better and more just world. In Christianity, life is seen as a journey towards salvation and eternal life with God. Through faith in Jesus Christ, Christians believe they can be redeemed from sin and attain eternal life. The Bible teaches that loving God and one's neighbor is the greatest commandment. Thus, the meaning of life is in following Jesus' teachings, living a life of love and service, and seeking communion with God. Islam teaches that life is a test and preparation for the eternal life. Muslims believe they must live according to Allah's will, following the teachings of the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad. Practicing the 5 pillars of Islam, faith, prayer, charity, fasting, and pilgrimage, is fundamental. The meaning of life lies in submitting to Allah's will and living a life of righteousness and devotion. These religions offer profound and varied answers to the question of life's meaning. Each proposes a specific path based on beliefs and practices that guide the faithful on their spiritual journey. But what about those who do not follow a specific religion? What is the meaning of life for them? Leaving behind religious answers, we now dive into the vast field of philosophy and science, where great thinkers and scholars have pondered the question of life's meaning. Starting with philosophy, since ancient Greece, philosophers have explored the depths of human existence. Socrates, for example, believed that the unexamined life is not worth living. For him, the pursuit of self-knowledge and understanding one's virtues was essential. Plato, his disciple, expanded on this idea by proposing that true life was in the contemplation of pure and eternal ideas beyond the physical world. Aristotle, as mentioned earlier, had a more practical view. He proposed that happiness, or eudaimonia, was the ultimate goal of human life. For Aristotle, happiness was not a temporary state, but the result of a life lived in accordance with virtue. He believed that by fully developing our capacities and talents, we find the true meaning of life. Jumping to the modern era, we find philosophers like Immanuel Kant, who saw morality as the key to the meaning of life. Kant argued that living according to reason and fulfilling our moral duty were the paths to a meaningful life. For him, human dignity lay in our ability to act according to rational and universal principles. More recently, existentialist philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus challenged the idea that life has intrinsic meaning. Sartre claimed that existence precedes essence, meaning that we are born without a predetermined purpose, and it is up to us to give meaning to our lives through our choices and actions. Camus, on the other hand, saw life as absurdly meaningless, but argued that the very struggle to find meaning is what gives value to human existence. In the field of science, particularly in biology and cosmology, we find different approaches. The theory of evolution, proposed by Charles Darwin, suggests that life is the result of natural processes of selection and adaptation. For many scientists, the meaning of life can be seen in the survival and reproduction of species, an endless cycle of life and death that shapes the planet's biological diversity. Cosmology, which studies the origin and structure of the universe, also offers an intriguing view. The famous astrophysicist Carl Sagan reminded us that we are star stuff, made of the same elements that compose stars and planets. This cosmic perspective can make us feel small, but also deeply connected to the universe. For Sagan, the mere fact that we can contemplate and understand the cosmos is indicative of a greater purpose. But what about personal meaning? Here, modern psychology offers valuable insights. Viktor Frankl, a psychotherapist who survived Nazi concentration camps, developed logotherapy. an approach that emphasizes the search for meaning as the primary motivating force of human life. Frankl believed that even in the most desperate circumstances, finding personal purpose, whether through love, work, or overcoming adversity, is crucial for our mental and spiritual health. Thus, we see that philosophy and science provide a wide range of answers and perspectives on the meaning of life. While some seek rational and universal foundations, others encourage us to create our own meaning through our experiences and actions. In our modern, interconnected world, many people are seeking new ways to find meaning through contemporary spirituality and self-discovery practices. Contemporary spirituality, unlike organized religious traditions, often focuses on a more individual and experiential approach. It can involve a mix of ancient and new practices, ranging from meditation and yoga to the exploration of personal beliefs and rituals. What all these practices have in common is the quest for a deeper connection with oneself and something greater. Take, for example, the practice of mindfulness meditation, which has roots in Buddhism but has been adapted for secular and therapeutic contexts in the West. Mindfulness meditation teaches us to be present in the moment, to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, and to cultivate greater awareness of ourselves and the world around us. Many practitioners report that this practice helps them find inner peace, clarity, and a renewed sense of purpose. Another practice that has gained popularity is yoga, which combines physical postures, breathing techniques, and meditation. Yoga is not just a form of exercise, but a philosophy of life that promotes the union of body, mind, and spirit. For many, regular yoga practice offers a path to self-knowledge, personal transformation, and connection with a broader spiritual dimension. Additionally, there is a growing interest in indigenous and shamanic spiritual traditions. These traditions often involve healing rituals, ceremonies with medicinal plants, and vision quests, which help individuals connect with nature and ancestral spirits. For many people, these experiences provide profound insights into their lives and purpose, and a sense of belonging to a larger natural cycle. The quest for self-discovery can also be found in holistic and alternative therapies, such as past life regression therapy, energy healing, and astrology. Although some of these practices are viewed with skepticism by traditional science, many people report that they provide a sense of understanding and guidance that they have not found elsewhere. A notable example of a figure who promoted contemporary spirituality is the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. Jung deeply explored the unconscious mind and the importance of symbols and archetypes in our psyche. He believed that the process of individuation, or integrating the conscious and unconscious aspects of our being, was fundamental to finding the meaning of life. For Jung, dreams, myths, and symbols were gateways to our true nature and purpose. We must not forget the contribution of Viktor Frankl, previously mentioned, whose experience in Nazi concentration camps led to the creation of logotherapy. Frankl believed that even in the most desperate situations, humans can find meaning through connection with transcendent values and personal purposes, whether through love, work, or overcoming adversity. These practices of spirituality and self-discovery reflect a growing trend in our society. The search for personal meaning that goes beyond traditional answers. In an increasingly globalized and diverse world, people are combining elements from different traditions and creating their own ways of finding meaning. But this personal quest for the meaning of life raises an interesting question. Do we need a universal answer, Or is it enough for each individual to find their own path and purpose? So far, we have examined various traditional and contemporary answers to the meaning of life, but we arrive at an interesting crossroads: the idea that the meaning of life can be profoundly personal and subjective. In the 21st century, we live in an era of unprecedented individualism and cultural diversity. Globalization and the digital revolution have exposed us to a vast array of beliefs, practices, and lifestyles. Amidst this plurality, many people are discovering that the meaning of life does not need to be a universal truth shared by all, but something each of us can define for ourselves. Take, for example, the concept of personal purpose. Unlike the grand religious or philosophical narratives that seek to explain human existence in general terms, personal purpose is unique to each individual. It can be found in our passions, talents, relationships, and aspirations. Writer and researcher Brené Brown talks about the importance of finding the courage to be vulnerable and authentic, suggesting that the meaning of life can be discovered by truly connecting with who we are and with others. Consider a person who finds meaning in creating art. For them, artistic expression might be a way to connect with their deepest emotions, to communicate their experiences, and to impact others. Their artistic journey is unique, and their purpose is something they shape and redefine continuously throughout their life. Another example is someone who finds purpose in helping others. This individual might work for an NGO, dedicate themselves to volunteering, or simply make a difference in the lives of those around them. American psychologist Carol Reif, in her theory of well-being, highlights the importance of having positive relationships, a purpose in life, personal growth, and autonomy. These elements help compose a personal and subjective sense of life that is deeply meaningful to each of us. But how can we discover and cultivate our own sense of life? A useful approach is to reflect on our values and passions. What truly matters to you? Which activities make you feel most alive and fulfilled? Introspection and self-understanding are keys to discovering what motivates us and gives us a sense of purpose. Often the meaning of life can be found in the small things of everyday life. It can be in the joy of spending time with family, the pleasure of a hobby, the satisfaction of a job well done, or the tranquility of a moment of inner peace. Writer Annie Dillard once said, "How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives." This reminds us that the meaning of life is not only in grand events or achievements, but also in simple moments and daily choices. Moreover, resilience and the ability to find meaning in the face of adversity are fundamental aspects of this subjective perspective. Viktor Frankl, with his logotherapy, demonstrated how, even in extreme circumstances, we can find purpose. He stated, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." This powerful idea encourages us to seek meaning and purpose even in the most challenging situations. However, finding a personal sense of life does not mean we are isolated from one another. Our individual stories are interconnected, and often we find purpose by connecting with others and with the community around us. French philosopher Emmanuel Levinas emphasized the ethics of responsibility towards the other, suggesting that the meaning of life can be discovered in relationships and caring for others. As we explore these personal and subjective perspectives, we realize that the search for the meaning of life is a continuous journey. It is something that can evolve and change as we grow and face new challenges and opportunities. We live in a society where individual actions have a direct and indirect impact on the community. Therefore, the search for the meaning of life is not just a solitary journey, but a complex dance between the self and the other. For many, finding purpose involves contributing to something greater than themselves, whether through volunteer work, social activism, or simply acting with compassion and empathy in daily life. Take, for example, the inspiring figure of Nelson Mandela. Mandela found his purpose in the fight against apartheid and in promoting equality and social justice. His life is a testament to how the search for personal meaning can transform into a profound impact on society. He once said, "The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." This phrase encapsulates the idea that our personal purpose can strengthen us and at the same time inspire others to move forward. Similarly, the work of Mahatma Gandhi shows how the interconnection between the individual and the collective can be powerful. Gandhi believed in nonviolence and peaceful resistance as ways to achieve social change. His search for a sense of life was deeply rooted in his belief that each individual has the power to positively influence the world around them. He said, "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." This simple and powerful message reminds us that our individual actions can have a transformative effect. However, balancing our personal quest with the collective well-being can be challenging. We live in a world full of demands and pressures, where individualism is often exalted at the expense of communitarianism. Finding a healthy balance requires reflection and intention. We need to consider how our choices and actions impact others and how we can positively contribute to our community and society. Positive psychology offers us useful tools for this balance. The concept of flourishing proposed by Martin Seligman suggests that a fulfilling life involves not only personal satisfaction, but also positive relationships, engagement, and meaningful contributions to the well-being of others. Seligman argues that true happiness and the sense of life are found when we cultivate both our own growth and that of others. Furthermore, the practice of gratitude can help us strengthen our bonds with others and appreciate the positive impact they have on our lives. Psychologist Brené Brown talks about the importance of vulnerability and authentic connection. By recognizing and expressing gratitude, we create a network of support and reciprocity that enriches both our individual lives and the community at large. So, what is the real meaning of life? The answer is